All right. Hey, welcome, folks. Mil Spec Ops Monkey here. It's going to be your sit rep. It is Monday morning. It's 12/11/2023, coming to you live here from the Monkey Lounge in the great state of Texas. And we're going to get into the details. We're going to show you some things that as always, it's going to make you mad. The shenanigans our government is up to. We've got some interesting things, though, that we're going to add to this. There looks to be a big event that took place over the weekend. We've got a lot of spars and SAM flights, as well as agency boys, all coalescing into Ramstein, Germany. That tells me something is afoot. And we saw them going in on Friday, but they were there all over the weekend, and we're going to look at that closer. We're also going to talk more about some of these, just the people coming into our country. We're going to track the Swift flights. I'm going to show you where they went to over the weekend. And yes, these folks are coming out of war-torn cities that we are responsible for, so they don't like us to begin with. But now we're taking them that don't like us and bringing them straight to your doorsteps, putting them into neighborhoods and cities all around the United States, and we're going to look at that as well. So buckle up as we get into the deets. Let's kick it off over here in to Skyglass. Again, if you haven't joined us on Patreon, we'd love to have you over there. It's an amazing community, and you just aren't going to get the same stuff there as you get over on the tube. We do a lot of extra stuff there. So, okay, now looking at the board, I will tell you we've got about 150 trainers that are currently up. If I were to just show you what it looks like on the screen, you can see looking pretty full today, 150 roughly. Okay, so we'll peel those out. The one flight that catches my eye as I just look across this just blistering amount of aircraft, almost 300 on the screen there. We have a SAM flight. Looks to be headed, if I look at that trajectory, it looks like it's coming straight down. Normally, it's either going to go right here to where we have a flight coming out of it. I'll show you in a second, which is Puerto Rico. Or as they get down, I say Puerto Rico, they're headed down towards Puerto Rico. This looks to be, actually, let me get a little closer. That looks like it's headed into Haiti. But typically, they'll come right around this horn here between the islands, and then they'll go into Guantanamo Bay. So we may have a blue and white dignitary that's going to round the horn and go into Guantanamo Bay. Of course, we'll never see it on the board because they'll wipe that. But this is, as I was getting a little closer in, this is Port-au-Prince. So this is Haiti. And Puerto Rico, we know we've got a location here where there's an immigrant camp, but it looks like we've got some agency boys down in Haiti. So keep your eye on the news because there's probably something cooking as we speak, right? It looks like the deep state is very, very active right now. So let's do this. Jump over to our watch list. I'm going to strip out. We've got 19 survey flights up. And we're going to take away the list there, and then we're just going to look at what's up, okay, in terms of Border Patrol, a lot of stuff, some intel birds down on the southern border of California. And then you can see we've got a C-135, and I'm not sure, it's not giving me all the details around that, and another R-135, but that's a little further north, getting airborne, headed that same direction. C-135 could be a sniffer, could be electronic suite. That's a drone up in Canada. And then I see our normal stuff down Texas Border Patrol kind of thing. That right there, see that? Yeah, that's an agency boy coming out of what looks to be Haiti. So you got your agency down in Haiti. As SAM flight headed in that direction. And then, of course, that is going to be your DOJ. And that's going to be a blue and white SAM flight, which is going to be, a dignitary. And then there is another Phoenix bird. So like I said, your agency boys are very active and busy. We saw them going into Ramstein, Germany over the weekend, so we'll be going to look at that as well. A couple E3 Sentry, that's advanced early warning systems. They also handle air traffic control and gather data. R-135 headed down to Black Sea. Forte looks to be at Q4 drone down over the Black Sea as well. Another SAM flight headed down towards, looks like Greece. Hard to tell. Crete, maybe? And then that's going to be one of your Israelis there. Also notice that one that I showed you over at Rock, that is the State Department. Now, if we look at this standpoint, this is going to be your gray birds, all right, your agency. Notice what we don't see here. I'm going to show you the board in a minute. wiping the flights, folks. That tells you that they don't want people knowing they're there, but that's going to be your agency boys, deep state. Okay. There is an interesting thing, though. They're doing some type of I don't know, it's an intel gathering or something. They've got a new capability added to their quiver that I think is a lot like the LaSalle Aviation. Now, notice this one also headed across the drink. It landed, looked like in Alaska, then a broken trace headed out to Asia. Again, agency boys. And then notice here, down south, right? There's a little island chain there that's very suspect. And I know that we have operations down there, but what I don't know is whether or not those operations are, how you say, that, well, they can launch rockets out of this island out of Southern California. So if we get over here, we see a lot of the graybirds going into this little island chain down here. There's an actual runway on there, and we have engineers that go out and train and work on special projects there. We also see the Phoenix Air Group that takes them over to China Lake from Southern California. So it's basically like a Uber for these engineers. Right? Not uncommon. But I've seen a lot of C-130s going into this island chain as well, which makes me wonder if they don't have some little immigrant location out there. All right, let me back away from this. Let's get over into the details of what's going on. We're going to start off here in the Swift flights. These are going to be your immigrant machine. Notice a couple of things here. All right, let me get a little higher. Notice the interior dots, Canada. Then notice up here, Northeast, the Carolinas, Central Texas. What you don't see are a bunch of border dots. This one here. So, excuse me. If we look at the flight traffic over the last 3 days, you can see this is bringing the immigrants into your neighborhoods. All right, look at this. Center of Louisiana, right? Center Texas near Austin. Tucson, we know we got a camp there. I've shared pictures with it in the past. San Francisco. And then you get up here into the middle of the United States. You can see them. St. Louis. Pennsylvania. They're just bringing them all over the place. Detroit, Chicago. Yeah, Massachusetts. So up there near Boston, where these people can just blend right in. Down towards the west coast of Florida, east coast of Florida. All right. That's going to be your immigrants. These are most likely folks that do not like us. All right. This isn't your typical somebody coming down from Mexico coming into our country. These are totally different. All right. South America and the Middle East. All right. Okay. Let's get over here back to the mini, and we'll start getting into the details of this. Now, I've got a couple headlines I want to share with you. First off, let me back this one up, and I'm going to hit the pause button here for a minute. And that is, notice this, UN Climate Change Summit serving gourmet burgers barbecue as it calls for Americans to stop eating meat. Okay, and just remember that, right? You get over here, this actually even shows the menu. According to the Summit online portal, its food offerings include juicy beef, slabs of succulent meat, smoked Wagyu beef burgers, and then, of course, Philly cheesesteaks, melt-in-your-mouth barbecue. So these folks, just like the WEF, right? It's all about the elite. They want to control us at every aspect. And these folks show up. They preach that we need to not eat beef. They want us eating bugs and crickets. And yet they turn right around and serve up all of this for themselves. That tells you right there, folks, that the people that are out there in the world appointed by our governments are not here for the people on any level. Now, you get outside the United States, it's not about we the people. It's, it is what it is. But here in the United States, it's supposed to be about we the people, and it is not 100%. So just keep that in mind. All right. Check this out. 5,000 illegal migrants are released into the U.S. daily. That's actually coming from the Flashbang administration as they privately tell Congress that. Somehow it leaked out, but that's a data point for you. 5,000 people into our country every single day. They're saying right now it's the highest record they've seen in terms of people coming in. So must be getting pretty close to this thing kicking off, I would imagine. Okay, now let us get over here to this side. We'll get back into the deets. We're going to start off here. This is one thing as we talk about the migrants and the illegal stuff going on. This is over on WND, and I find it interesting. This top secret migrant camp caught operating out of an empty aircraft hangar. Now, I talked about this in my Monkey Minute yesterday on Patreon, but I thought it needed to be shared out to the masses as well. This is what's really interesting. If you look at what they have, this is security guard posted out there. He doesn't want people taking pictures. He told them not to take pictures. Notice what's getting onto this van. Women, right? They say there's 400 people that basically go in and out of this hangar location that are staying no longer than 24 hours. All right. So it's a quick turnover. Excuse me. And I apologize. I went to the Cowboy game last night with my brother who came into town, and I didn't get home until about 1 a.m. And it is my voice is gone and everything else. So it's anyway, it is what it is. But I already drank all my coffee, and so I'm struggling to get through this bad dude. All right, so my apologies. Okay, so here we go. But yeah, this is a aircraft hangar, which tells you all you need to know because they're taking them in these little vans, they're bringing them out to aircraft, and they're pushing them into the country. This is pretty much, a human trafficking operation is what that is. So again, all women, and this was basically stumbled upon, right, down near San Antonio, Texas. And they say it's been there about 8 months. So again, another data point for you, but that's our government at work. All right, speaking of knuckleheadery, here it is. It is Flashbang scheduled today. It looks like he is en route to Philadelphia. All right, and around 11 a.m. And it looks like so he's out of the White House, and they're going to have some Hanukkah holiday reception. All right. Now, we were talking about the migrants, the fact that these people are coming from war-torn cities. Now, check this out. This is from the Hamas top guy. Our nation will sit on the throne of the world. This should be something that just sinks into our brains because this is what it is all about, right? This Hamas leader says, our goal is establishment of global Islamic caliphate, not just liberation of Palestine. You better let that sink in because they are here in the masses. I've been saying this for a while. Listen, when the FBI is telling Congress that there are red blinking lights going off all over the place, he knows things that he is not sharing with us because they're in on it, okay? They're just bracing everybody so when it happens, they can go look like, the good guys. Oh, we tried to tell you it was coming just like 9/11, but the reality is they're behind it all, okay? So anyway, this tells you all you need to know. The caliphate, yes, they want to eliminate you and I, the infidel. All right. Moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about economy because it's very important because as things start to deteriorate around the world, the other stuff becomes more prominent. And so here's one for you. This is the latest GDP figures showing that the Eurozone contracted in the third quarter, and looks like it will do the same in the last 3 months of the year, falling into a continent-wide recession. They're saying the final figures confirm that the Eurozone GDP contracted to a 0.1% in the third quarter. What's more, the detailed breakdown showed that European economy has no engines of growth at the moment, meaning it is flatlined. That's not good. Okay. Let's move on. Now, over here domestically to the United States, California facing a record $68 billion deficit, a potential fiscal budget emergency. Yeah, you know what that means? More taxes. That's what that's coming to. All right. It means they're going to come after everybody and their brother. They're going to tax you left, right, and center for everything that you do. And oh, by the way, this is the guy they're trying to put in charge of our country, right? Because Flashbang is going to bail at the last minute, and this is going to be their short list. This guy and Big Mike. Okay, moving on from that dismal story over to this side of it. Jim Rogers. I expect the next bear market to be the worst in my lifetime. Now, Jim Rogers, he's the co-founder of the Quantum Fund with this name, the guy that you always want to hear, George Soros, in 1973. And he achieved a significant acclaim for steering the fund to a remarkable 4,200% gain, retiring at the age of 37. But he's saying, buckle up, folks, because it is about to drop like nobody's business. And he says the worst of his lifetime. So, yeah, that's not good. Okay, let's get into a little bit of this. I was going to try and show some NOAA flights, but they've been wiping their flights much like the agency boys. But notice right here, all of this activity off of the West Coast. These are all NOAA boxes, right? Now, what I find interesting is we've seen them there before, and we go to pull the NOAA flights, and they are not there. So just a data point for you, but they're out here wiping all this stuff out. These are another atmospheric river. We've just had one come in. We've got more coming, and got a lot of record flooding going on along this side of the West Coast. All right, not good. Again, this little island right down here seems to be where the C-130s, or sorry, C-17s are coming in and out of. Let's take a look at those real fast as we kind of see what's going on around the world. But this is the C-130 activity. We start off in Europe. I just noticed hot and heavy out of Germany. Lots and lots of broken traces. That is the smoking gun. They're killing those traces because they don't want us knowing that they're bringing them into the United States. Notice where this one's headed in and out of, right? That is Egypt, right there, just to the left side of Gaza, or the southwestern side of Gaza Strip, and then in and out of Bahrain and Qatar and the UAE. When we get over to the United States, just notice it starts to spread out a little bit. Look at this flurry in California. Again, there's that little island chain down here that you can see them going in and out of. I've never seen C-17s go in and out of that location like that. That's a lot of traffic in and out of there, which tells me, I believe there may be something else going on there from an immigrant perspective. And then, of course, you've got the other locations that we've been watching for a while now. We know, Tucson, that's another one, a big camp. We know there's a camp there. Like I said, I've shared pictures with that in the past. Florida, up the East Coast, then into all the little cities. Same spots you see the Swift Airs going, right? Okay. There is that aspect. Now, let me do this. We're going to go to, let me show you the Russians. As we looked at the C-17s, you noted the locations of them. Now, we see a big flurry coming out of Moscow. You kind of expect that. It is an uptick compared to what we've seen. Notice the flight runs straight down across Iran because they're chummy, buddy with Iran. But look at this. Into the UAE, Qatar, Riyadh. Now, we know that's interesting because we are there too, right? And then right there into the same base location that the U.S. is operating out of, right? And then, of course, you see it going across Turkey back into Russia. Okay? But that is a data point for you because we are starting to operate in very similar locations, which is not good, right? Okay. Now, let's look at Biggs Army Airfield. Notice we've got a camper flight that's arriving from Fort Worth. We've got one coming out of Louisville, Kentucky. That's an Omni, and a Sun Country coming out of Joint Base Andrews. Now, notice the size of the aircraft. These are probably either going to be troops or they're going to be migrants. All right, over to Dover. And notice the Israeli Air Force is coming inbound, 747, probably picking up stuff because we failed to deliver it to them. We probably made them come and get it themselves. Imagine that. But that looks like what is going on here. All right. It looks like a FedEx aircraft leaving for Dallas-Fort Worth from there. 777. And then that one's headed back to Tel Aviv. That's the Israeli bird. Okay, this is Ramstein. Now, this is why you may remember I pointed out the fact that the gray birds were wiping their flights. All right. Now, that's a Navy logistics. But if we get into Friday, notice here, SPAR flight. All right, you got SPARs coming in, Atlas Air, 747s, one coming in from Dover. Right there, that's agency boys, G4. SAM flight, SPAR flight. Told you there's something big going on. These people started arriving on Thursday of last week. A lot of C-130s, a lot of camber flights. All right. My guess is these folks are getting together to try and figure out what do they do with Ukraine. They're running out of munitions for them. Congress is holding back money. They won't allow them to send money. Then, on top of that, remember, the deep state established themselves in Ukraine back in 1948. We've been there ever since. There is no way on God's green earth that we're going to just let Russia take that. My guess is they're trying to figure out how do we scuttle the boat, get rid of all the stuff that we had in there, and stand up operations elsewhere. Because I don't think that they want to take on Russia right now. I think everybody realizes they're too lean. Ukraine has spent everything they could to try and just hold them off and made zero gains. Yet what they've done is they've basically emptied all of our war chests. Okay. All right. Speaking of RZE Poland, the forward operating base there, just going through, only thing I see is a NATO flight in, and then we go over to this side. Looks like the NATO was just around robin. One Atlas Air coming in, 747 right here. Not seeing too much else. So we did see a little bit of an uptick. I would imagine it was just enough to get them going. And then we get over to this side. This is U.S. the camber flights. Nothing on the board. It's been a while since I've seen that happen. Look at the 747s that are all in the air coming out, heading into what looks to be the Middle East, right? 747s. 4 of them, 747s. This is national cargo. And then we look at the Brits, a little more active than what we've seen from them in the past. Remember, this is their camber equivalent, right? And it looks like we've got a same thing coming out of Cyprus, headed into the Middle East. That is really it for them. Everything looks to be transitioning. And then Western Global, looks like these guys are coming out of, where are they? Asia. Coming out of Asia, that's China. So coming out of China, flying into Anchorage, Alaska. My guess is when we start to see these guys operating in and out of, China itself or Hong Kong, they are picking up probably critical path stuff like pharmaceuticals, et cetera. They're not taking weapons and bringing it to the United States. They're not bringing, Chinese into our country from that standpoint. They don't need to. They're coming right across the southern border. But this is just something that we'll see. Atlas Air will do the same thing. There's several others that'll you'll see them flying over to get stuff because it's not coming slow boat from China that we've seen in the past. You can see our ports, as I've shown you in the past. The ports, it just aren't. They're not there. Okay, there's just a couple of ships that are in and out of there, but they're bypassing and they're headed right down here to Central America. Which, oh, by the way, is interesting because now you've got Panama that is in an uprising situation, and you've got the Panama Canal that is drying out. The water levels are record low, and they can't get ships through as fast, so it's causing a backlog out here on both sides. So not a good situation there at all. So Anyway, all right. Well, listen, that's going to do it for a sit rep today. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll see you on Wednesday. Keep that powder dry and stay frosty. Definitely now more than ever before. And remember, if you want peace, prepare for war. That's it. You guys be safe out there. God bless. Monkey out. Thanks for watching, folks. You can check out the latest gear and products by selecting the QR code on your screen now or go to monkeyworksus.com.